There is a massive attack underway in Ukraine. So far, we understand at least 17 explosions in a matter of minutes. 17 explosions across the city, one of the largest cities in Ukraine tonight. According to officials there, most of the strikes are targeting a civilian area in Kharkiv. The attack coming as stunning new details are emerging about a phone call between President Trump and Zelensky. Now, it is the Financial Times that had obtained much of this information, and they are reporting that Trump asked Zelensky on this call, this is what the FT says, Volodymyr, can you hit Moscow? Can you hit St. Petersburg too? The FT says this is according to multiple people familiar with the call. Sources who tell the FT that Zelensky then responded, absolutely, we can if you give us the weapons. Now, people briefed on the call, which took place one day after Trump spoke to Putin, said that Trump spoke about, quote, making the Russians feel the pain. So with all of this, Trump, of course, was asked about this today. Here's what he's saying publicly.
Should Zelensky target Moscow or deeper into Russia?
No, he shouldn't target Moscow.
All right, well, that's what he's saying publicly. Privately, of course, could be a different matter. Sources tell CNN that despite Trump's public comments, he has not ruled out giving Zelensky new offensive weapons that Ukraine has long requested and previously been denied, like joint air-to-surface standoff missiles. Now, those missiles, perhaps not the range for Moscow or St. Petersburg, but they do go about 230 miles. And what that would do for Ukraine is put possibly 30 Russian additional air bases, 30 at risk. So Russia tonight is responding, and they're responding by going right there, all the way to the jugular, as they have done in other moments of great tension, and that is by threatening nuclear retaliation. Listen to this clip from state television in Russia that was uncovered by the journalist Julia Davis. She closely monitors Russian propaganda. Here's what she found.
Right now, they're considering giving them long-range weapons that can strike Moscow and St. Petersburg. What is Trump doing? He says, it isn't me. We understand that this is a lie. It's America. Therefore, we should clearly understand that we have to conduct a retaliatory strike against America and American forces. Yes. This is nuclear war.
Mincing no words there. This is nuclear war. Straight to that threat. And when it comes to Trump's threat to Putin, that Putin has 50 days to end the war or face massive sanctions, well, that is being met with a public shrug in Russia. Here's the foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov.
50 days? It used to be 24 hours. It used to be 100 days. We've been through all of this.
And longtime Putin ally, top Russian security official now, Dmitry Medvedev, posted, Trump issued a theatrical ultimatum to the Kremlin. The world shuddered, expecting the consequences. Belligerent Europe was disappointed. Russia didn't care. Well, moments ago, Trump was asked about why he believes Putin will suddenly care and will suddenly change everything in 50 days.
A lot of opinions change very rapidly. Might not be 50 days, might be much sooner than 50 days.
But again, this is all public versus private. Russia can say that it doesn't care, and maybe there's truth in it. But part of the reason there could be some truth in that is because so far, Trump has not followed his words with actions. So far. I mean, in January, Trump posted online, if we don't make a deal, and soon, I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States. 44 days later, on March 7th, he posts, I'm strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. Well, time went by. Here's Trump on April 27th.
Do you trust President Putin? You know, in about 2 weeks.
Of course, nothing happened after any of those prognostications, and nothing happened after that 2-week time period. There was no sanctions, no tariffs, not then, not in January, not in March. But then again, here was Trump in May.
Do you still believe that Putin actually wants to end the war?
I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon. We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not.
Well, of course, that was 6 weeks ago. And now Trump has put out a new deadline of 50 days. And tonight in Kharkiv, the world is getting a small taste of what Putin is capable of. Those explosions that I just talked about rocking the city, 17 of them, the massive ones, happened in apparently the period, just those, of 20 minutes. So gosh, you think about what happens in 20 minutes. Think about how many thousands of people will die in the next 50 days, if 50 days is a real deadline. Kristen Holmes is out front live outside the White House. So Kristen, I lay out that history because it matters in terms of how serious this threat is. What are you learning about Trump's plan and about how he really sees Putin right now?
Yeah, Aaron, I think the thing to point to is, yes, this has been a long game of President Trump almost seemingly defending Putin at various times, asking if he's being strung along, and then also giving these kind of arbitrary deadlines of 2 weeks. But one thing that has changed over the last several months has been President Trump's perception of Vladimir Putin and perception of the relationship that he once believed that they had. And we've really been watching that unfold in real time as he has grown increasingly frustrated. One of the things he was asked today was that he was asked about what he says to Putin behind closed doors on the phone, and he said that Putin says he wants peace, but then never acts on it. This is a change that might actually lead to President Trump doing something, and that's what we're hearing from allies of his, particularly war hawks, people who really have been wanting him to enact these sanctions on Russia, is that his growing frustration might actually lend them to doing something. And one thing to make clear here, these tariffs that he's talking about in 50 days, they aren't tariffs, they aren't going to be on Russia themselves. We do so little trade with Russia, it wouldn't matter. It's on these intermediary countries that do big business with Russia and the United States. So the hope there is that even if this is just a threat, that these other countries are going to be wanting Putin to come to the table to negotiate. But whether or not that works remains to be seen, particularly when you're watching these officials in Russia kind of shrug off Trump's comments.
President Trump today still expressing his reservation and frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Just one day after announcing a new plan to get U.S. weapons to Ukrainian troops using NATO and NATO allies, and warning Putin he has 50 days to make a ceasefire deal or face a second round of punishing tariffs. CNN's chief White House correspondent and anchor Caitlin Collins is live for us at the White House. Caitlin?
Yeah, Jake, and I should note the president lashed out at a reporter when they asked him why he is giving President Putin another 50 days here as they are seeking to bring this war to an end, or he says that Russia is going to face some heavy sanctions here. The president did not like that question and also said that he believes that the 50-day timeline is actually not that long after all. It's a sentiment that we've heard echoed by Republicans in Congress as well, who have been trying to push their own sanctions bill to the president's desk eventually. But Jake, he did make some news on Russia and amid some reporting that he had asked President Zelensky during their last phone call if Ukraine would have the ability to be able to hit Moscow or St. Petersburg if they had long-range missiles. The White House did not deny that the president actually brought that up to Zelensky, but said that he was merely asking the question, not saying that it was something that he should be talking about. And then the president himself took questions from reporters on this as he was leaving the White House to go to Pennsylvania earlier, where he said he does not believe and is not considering giving Ukraine long-range missiles, and also said he does not think President Zelensky should try to hit Moscow either. He did, though, Jake, make clear his frustration with President Putin, and as they are in this dynamic and waiting for these next 50 days to play out, and this is what he told us.
Well, we're going to see what happens with President Putin. So far, I've been very disappointed with President Putin. I've solved a lot of wars in the last 3 months, but I haven't gotten this one yet.
That is his frustration, Jake, in terms of not being able to bring this conflict to an end, something that he initially promised to do on day one in office. And I should note, I've been talking to officials here at the White House, and that frustration that you're hearing him air out publicly, as he's kind of been building to for the last several weeks, is a sentiment that he has been reflecting in private for quite some time, and now is clearly doing so publicly. The question, of course, is how the Russian leader is going to respond and whether or not that 50-day deadline is going to have to be met, and if the president follows through on it.